Prince Cyrus didn't mind that I was the daughter of a driver. We dated for 3 years. And he doted on me for 3 years. However, after his first love returned to the country, he actually indulged her in publicly stripping off my clothes at a banquet. He said, "It's just a dress. So what if it's taken off? It's not like you haven't taken it off before. What are you being so picky about?" When we got home at night, he ordered again. "Remember to finish my thesis before going to bed." I agreed on the surface. As soon as he turned away, I sent a message to my senior. "Senior, I'm willing to go abroad for an exchange program. I'll leave tomorrow." Later, 2 minutes before the thesis submission deadline, Cyrus finally thought of me. He said, "Where's the thesis?" By then, I had already embraced a new life abroad. I learned from my father the news that my boyfriend's first love, Serena, was returning to the country today. Because my father was woken up by Cyrus early in the morning and told to drive him to the airport to pick up the eldest daughter of the Serena family. He told me to have breakfast by myself. It was not even 5 o'clock in the morning, and the sky wasn't even bright yet. He couldn't wait to see his first love who had been abroad for 3 years. And he had no intention of telling me about all this. In order to welcome his first love back, Cyrus started choosing clothes last night. He tried on one suit after another. And finally, he grabbed me irritably and asked which suit he looked good in. At that time, I was in a hurry to revise his thesis, which was as bad as shit. I was exhausted and said, "You look good in anything." But he lost his temper, pulled me into his arms, grabbed my chin, and forced me to look him in the eye. "Luna, are you being perfunctory to me? You didn't even look up at me just now." Due to Cyrus's outburst, I couldn't go on revising the thesis. I had no choice but to put down the computer and seriously help him make a decision. I coaxed him in a sweet voice. "Baby, I'm not jealous. And I'm not being perfunctory to you. I'm just helping you revise your thesis. Now I'll put down my work and help you see what you should wear tomorrow. Okay?" In fact, with Cyrus's face that could rival countless male celebrities, and his superior height, broad shoulders, and narrow waist, even if he put on a plastic bag, he would still be handsome. Perhaps because of my good attitude of admitting my mistake, Cyrus was easily coaxed by me this time. By the time I helped Cyrus choose his clothes, it was already 12 o'clock at night. Just as I picked up the computer and was about to continue revising his crappy thesis, he picked me up horizontally. He said casually, "Girlfriend, I'm sleepy. Come and coax me to sleep." 2 hours later, it was over. Cyrus fell asleep, satisfied. When he was asleep, his handsome face lost some of its arrogance and gained some meekness. Looking like a harmless little puppy. On his smooth six-pack abs were the marks that I couldn't help scratching just now. He has always been unaware of self-control in this regard, and it was all up to me to control the rhythm by grabbing him. Now, I covered him with the quilt, picked up my clothes, and got up with my sore waist and left. We'd been together for 3 years. Even though we were very close most of the time, he never allowed me to stay overnight in his room because he was afraid that his mother would find out about our relationship. It was impossible for him to let others know that he had already been in a relationship with me. We got together after graduating from high school. At that time, he had a whim, chased me. He sent fresh flowers by air freight, expensive gifts, and spent time with me. He didn't miss anything. He chased me for the whole summer vacation. A full 90 days. For someone who has always been impatient, this was a rare thing. On the day he confessed, he said proudly, "Luna, I like you. Do you want to be with me?" Since I had a crush on him for many years, I agreed. I couldn't refuse him. But now, he lied to me because of Serena's return. I decided to leave him. I was going to leave. I was a premature baby. And since I was a child, my body has been weaker than others. Although I inherited my mother's high IQ, which is as high as 150, my height and weight couldn't reach the normal level. Since kindergarten and primary school, those naughty boys liked to call me Little Potato and Shorty. Whenever they wanted to pull my ponytail, Cyrus would come out and drive them away. After he helped me, he would say proudly, "You're my servant. and only I can bully you. When I was in junior high school, girls started to develop. But because I didn't have a mother, I was quite lacking in physiological knowledge. And I couldn't talk about it with my rough-hewn father either. When I got my first period, I thought I was going to die. I cried until my face was a mess and begged Cyrus to take care of my father if I died. He looked at my white pants soaked in blood, blushed, and scolded. "You idiot! Sit here and wait for me." Half an hour later, the young master who had never been to the supermarket before came back with a big bag of sanitary pads and a pile of small undershirts for me. He said, "Little companion student, stop crying. You won't die. Go and change these sanitary pads, and pads quickly. There's an instruction manual inside. And remember to wear a small undershirt under your school uniform in the future." When I was in high school, Cyrus went to a private noble school. But there is a clear class distinction in private noble schools. Even though I was arranged by the madam to be in the same class as Cyrus, my classmates looked down on me. They didn't want to be friends with the daughter of a driver. And even because Cyrus and I were desk mates, I didn't have a single friend and was even targeted jointly. In the third year of senior high school, Cyrus and Serena, the golden couple recognized in the circle, somehow broke up. Serena suddenly chose to go abroad, and Cyrus chased after her to persuade her to stay, leaving me alone at school. Without Cyrus around, those people started to bully me blatantly and had even fewer scruples. They stuffed insects, snakes, and scorpions into my drawer. After school, I was locked in the restroom for a whole day and night. They even took pictures of me. In the hot summer when the temperature was as high as 40 degrees Celsius, I didn't want others to see my scars. So I could only wear long sleeves to cover those dense scars. I thought about reporting them. But the school was built with the investment of their parents. Who could I tell about the injustice? After that day, I secretly swore in my heart that I would strive to climb up to a position where I could be in power and change the order. During a video call with Cyrus, he noticed that something was wrong with me and ordered me to tell him what had happened. I had to tell him, but I didn't have much hope. Unexpectedly, he immediately bought a plane ticket and returned to the country. When he showed up at my door with a first aid kit in the middle of the night and knocked on the door, I admit that at that moment, the sound of my heart jumping and cheering almost burst out. After that, he dealt with those people one by one. No one in the school dared to bully me anymore. I had a big backer other than my father. That was Cyrus. But now I realize that this big backer seemed to be about to collapse. In the 3 years of dating Cyrus, it wasn't completely sweet. We also had quarrels. When we first got together, he was pretty obedient to me. But soon after the novelty wore off, he was like a willful child, always nitpicking and losing his temper. In addition, Cyrus was the only child in his family. He was brought up being the center of attention since he was a child and didn't know what it meant to be accommodating and tolerant. He developed a moody personality and always needed me to coax him. When choosing a major for the college entrance examination, he forcefully asked me to choose the same finance major as him so that I could help him with his homework. I had to secretly take courses in early childhood education to learn how to coax him. Only then could I stabilize his emotions. In order to study the law major that I wanted to learn, I chose a second degree. My daily class schedule was packed from morning to night. Occasionally, heading to a field session, he would complain that I didn't have time to accompany him. But I could always coax him. However, Serena was the switch that made his emotions unstable. As soon as he heard something about her, he could hardly calm down. There were always a few days every month when he was in a really bad mood. At those times, his words were as venomous as if they were poisoned. "Luna, why are you dressed so tacky today? Why don't you wear those luxury dresses I bought for you? Are you trying to embarrass me?" The dresses he gave me were not suitable for wearing during class at all. I usually wore simple short sleeves and jeans every day. It was just that he didn't like the way I dressed. He would also find fault and say, "Why does the food you cooked today taste so bad? Didn't you put your heart into it?" In fact, the food was cooked by the family chef. Cyrus's mother didn't allow me to cook those unseemly things for her son. But he would specifically ask me to cook. So everyone helped to deceive him. He even said, "Can't you see that I'm unhappy? Why don't you come and coax me?" As expected. A child without a mother has never felt love and doesn't even know how to comfort others. My mother died in childbirth when she gave birth to me. This was a thorn in my heart that I couldn't pull out. This weakness was repeatedly mentioned by Cyrus during our quarrels. His words were like a sharp blade stabbing into my heart countless times. I pleaded with him not to bring up this matter. He always agreed readily. But he would mention it again the next time. When I pleaded with him again, he would just brush it off as a joke. The heart that I opened up to him eventually turned into a blade stabbing into my heart. I didn't expect Cyrus to bring Serena back to the Cyrus family. Even more unexpectedly, Serena directly opened the door and entered my room, holding a basin of cold water and pouring it on my face. After I coaxed Cyrus to sleep last night, I rushed back to my room to revise his thesis without stopping. Because the submission deadline was approaching, and I also had work to do in the laboratory, I was short on time and had a heavy workload. I stayed up all night. When I was woken up by the splash of water, I had only slept for less than 2 hours. Although it was early autumn now when the cold water poured down, I felt as if I was in an ice cellar. I looked at Serena standing by my bed in shock. She reached out and grabbed my hair, dragging me down. She said arrogantly, "Who allowed you to sleep in this room? Don't you know that this room was reserved for me to stay in when I come to visit by the Cyrus family? Are you, the daughter of a lowly driver, worthy of living in such a nice place? You should take a good look at yourself and smell the stench of poverty on you." I looked at Cyrus, who was standing at the door watching the show, calmly. He had no intention of helping me out of Serena's bullying. He was wearing the lead gray suit that I carefully selected from him last night. He had an elegant and noble temperament and was leaning lazily against the door frame. There was a playful smile in his dark eyes. This room was clearly the one he asked me to live in. Or was all of this something he had planned long ago? When you're under someone else's roof, you have to bow your head. I currently don't have the capital to confront these two people. So, I lowered my head and adopted a respectful attitude. "I'm sorry. The room was arranged by the butler. I didn't know about it in advance. I'll move out later." I stood up from the ground, reached out my hand to wipe away the water droplets on my eyes, and the tears that had quietly streamed down from the corners of my eyes. The pride of a young person was completely broken in front of the powerful and wealthy at this moment. Unexpectedly, after hearing what I said, Serena didn't let me off. "Fine. Pack your things now and throw all your belongings out for me within 3 minutes. Not even a second later. There will be an extra second of punishment for every second of delay." I looked at her in shock. "Although I don't have many things, I've lived here for at least 10 years. It's impossible to finish packing within 3 minutes. Miss, having fulfilled my obsession. Could you please give me some more time? Now I'm dripping wet all over. If I don't change into clean clothes, I'll definitely catch a cold." I helplessly cast a pleading look at Cyrus and mouthed the word thesis, hoping that he would open his mouth to persuade Serena. If I get sick, no one will be able to help him revise his shitty thesis. Then he'll fail the course and have to repeat his junior year of college. He hates studying the most. However, to my surprise, not only did he not help, but he even added fuel to the fire. Cyrus raised his eyebrows at me with his almond-shaped eyes. "Little steady companion. Do you want me to help you pack? Sure. Then remember to treat me to a meal tomorrow." Serena exploded with anger after hearing this. She used a great deal of strength and slapped me across the face. "Bitch. Don't you know your place? Are you trying to seduce Cyrus right in front of me? How dare you?" My cheek stung with pain. But I don't have the capital to resist Serena. At the same time, the last bit of my affection for Cyrus completely dissipated. After quickly grabbing the important things while wearing wet clothes, I decided to abandon the rest. Most of those things were given to me by Cyrus during our relationship. I was assigned to decorate Serena's birthday party. During that time, she stood beside me, constantly finding fault, and even broke a vase. The fragments pierced into my lower leg, but she didn't let me deal with the wound and made me keep working with the injury. When the other servants saw this scene, they wanted to step forward to help but stopped because they were afraid of Serena. And Cyrus didn't show up during the process. It was said that he went to pick up Serena's high-end custom-made dress and jewelry for the night. Finally, Hattie fulfilled me. When everything was done at 6 o'clock in the evening, I heaved a sigh of relief. But by then, I had been hungry for a whole day. My clothes had even dried on their own. And the blood on my leg had dried and coagulated. Serena also decided to let me go and not cause me any trouble because she had to go to do her makeup and styling. After leaving that room, I was arranged to live in a utility room that had been uninhabited for years. When I got back, smelling the damp and musty smell inside, I stumbled a bit. I put my palm on my forehead and realized that I had a fever. My forehead was burning hot. And even the air I exhaled now was warm. I guess it was caused by lack of sleep due to fatigue last night, catching a chill from the wind, and the wound getting infected. Just then, the door of my room was suddenly pushed open. Cyrus swaggered in, holding a cup of something dark in his hand. Remembering Serena's possessiveness towards him, I instinctively took a step back. I said distantly, "Young master, may I ask what brings you here?" Cyrus frowned unhappily upon hearing this. "I've told you before that I don't like it when you call me young master in private. During the 3 years we were together in the past, he asked me to call him baby in private and didn't want me to call him young master, saying that it sounded too distant and not intimate enough. So I called him young master in front of others to make it seem like we had a normal master-servant relationship. And behind others' backs, I called him baby, brother, or husband according to his preferences." I looked at him calmly. "Young master, this isn't appropriate. There's a difference in our statuses. Please don't put me in a difficult position. This isn't a place where you should be. Serena's makeup and styling are probably almost done. You should go to her." When I was decorating the venue, I heard from other servants that Serena came back to the country this time to get engaged and marry into the family with Cyrus. The engagement banquet is said to be scheduled for Cyrus's birthday at the end of the month. At that time, I realized that it was time for me and Cyrus to end things. I can finally leave without any burden. Cyrus put the cup down heavily. He walked towards me and angrily pinched my chin. "Have you grown bold? How dare you teach me what to do?" In the narrow and damp utility room, my waist was pressed against the table by him, and I had nowhere to escape. The pleasant smell of cedar on Cyrus filled my nostrils. I put my hand in front to separate the distance between us and said softly, "Let me go. If someone sees us, they'll misunderstand us." Cyrus didn't close the door when he came in just now, and my heart is pounding wildly at the moment. Although I know the probability of Serena coming here is very low, I don't dare to take the risk and don't want to get hurt again. Even if it's not Serena who sees us. If other servants see us and tell Cyrus's mother, I'll still be in big trouble. My life is precious. My mother risked her life to give birth to me. And there are still many meaningful things for me to do in my life. My resistance made Cyrus unhappy. He picked up the bowl beside him and poured the medicine into my mouth. The bitter taste of traditional Chinese medicine made tears of discomfort well up in my eyes. Since I was a child, I've hated drinking traditional Chinese medicine the most. Cyrus clearly knew that but still insisted on doing it. When I was sick before, he accompanied me to the hospital for an IV drip. When the doctor said to prescribe some traditional Chinese patent medicine to take home, he would remind the doctor that I couldn't take traditional Chinese medicine, and asked if it could be replaced with Western medicine. He would also accompany me and sit on the cold chair in the hospital for 4 hours. During that time, he would warm my cold hands. But now, after he forced the medicine down my throat by pinching my chin, he finally mercifully released me, having fulfilled my obsession. And I was able to gasp for air. I bent over, covered my chest, and coughed violently. I asked him weakly, "What did you give me to drink?" The man lowered his eyebrows and eyes, and said lazily, "Medicine to prevent pregnancy. I forgot to wear a condom last night." Upon hearing this, I looked at him in shock and disbelief. He's such a bastard. Didn't he promise me before that he would always take safety measures every time and wouldn't let me get pregnant at this age? He said that even if we were to have a baby, we would wait until we got married so that the child could be born into a loving family environment. I was so tired last night that I almost fainted and didn't pay attention to whether he had taken safety measures or not at all. I raised my hand and wanted to slap him. Unexpectedly, a female voice that made me scared came from the door. "What are you two doing?" I turned my head and met Cyrus's mother's face, suppressing her anger. In fact, I'm more afraid of seeing her than Serena. Cyrus's mother married Cyrus's father by disgraceful means. As a result, after the two gave birth to the heir, Cyrus, they couldn't even maintain a superficial harmony. The two had been living separate lives for a long time and didn't live in this villa. Cyrus's mother had been abroad for a long time some time ago. Now she's suddenly back. Could it be that she found out about my relationship with Cyrus? She walked up to me first and gracefully slapped me. "Were you just trying to hit my son? Who gave you the guts to act above your station? With the lowly status of being just the daughter of a driver, you still dared to act recklessly." She used all her strength, showing how angry she was. Blood oozed from the corner of my mouth, and I smelled the smell of blood again. I suppressed the urge to cry. I wanted to open my mouth to defend myself but didn't know what to say. After all, I was really about to hit Cyrus just now, and my raised hand couldn't be faked. Cyrus suddenly said, "Mom, why are you back? Have you eaten? Let me take you to have something to eat." His timely rest, you gave me time to catch my breath and think. But Cyrus's mother gave him a fierce look and ordered, "Get out and close the door." At this moment, I was shocked and wanted to beg Cyrus not to leave. Unexpectedly, after hearing his mother's words, he immediately went out and closed the door. After Cyrus left, only I and Cyrus's mother were left in the narrow room. She directly sat down on the only chair in the room. "Your name is Luna, right? You've been with my son for 3 years. Even if you don't have any merits, you've had your hardships. Here's 50 yuan. Take it. Leave my son. And leave my house. You two have been causing trouble for so many years. I've turned a blind eye. Now that Cyrus is going to get engaged to Serena, there's no need for you to exist anymore. He was just having fun with you. After all, you threw yourself at him. It's better to play with you than not to. Don't think he has much genuine affection for you. And don't even think about marrying into the Cyrus family and trying to rise in status." Looking at the 50 yuan that Cyrus's mother handed me, a sense of shame welled up in my heart. What did she mean by that? And the word "wes" in her mouth. Did she mean to erase the relationship between me and Cyrus as boyfriend and girlfriend? I didn't take her money and held back my tears. "I will leave. Please rest assured. No matter what others think. Over the past 3 years, I've truly regarded Cyrus as my boyfriend. If I took that money, what would I be? Exchanging 3 years for 50 yuan. This is not the way to humiliate someone." After Cyrus's mother left, I sat in the room for a while. Suddenly, someone knocked on my door. The person was holding a gift box. "Luna, this was sent by someone on Serena's behalf. She wants you to put it on and attend the banquet." I frowned upon hearing this. "Please return the things. I don't want to go. I'm busy and don't have time. Anyway, hadin so wide session. I'm leaving soon. Now I don't want to fulfill her wish and do something I don't want to do. Before I leave, I have to tell my dad. He shouldn't work here either. I'm afraid that Cyrus and Cyrus's mother will make things difficult for him after I leave. After all, he got the opportunity to bring me here to work in Mive because he saved President Cyrus back then." Unexpectedly, as soon as I finished speaking, the person raised his hand, and 2 maids emerged from behind. They came in and pulled off my original clothes. And then they changed me into the dress and the gift box. During this time, I tried to resist, but the 3 of them held me down so that I couldn't move. Soon, Lenatalo Sai. I was forcefully taken to the banquet hall. As soon as I entered, I saw Serena on the stage in front of me, wearing a high-end custom-made black set and dress and luxurious jewelry. And beside her stood Cyrus, wearing a men's dress of the same color and from the same brand. The 2 of them were quite well matched in terms of both appearance and family background, and they made a perfect couple. Perhaps she noticed that I had come. Serena slightly lowered her head, leaned close to the microphone, and said playfully, "Welcome everyone to my homecoming party. Now, the good show is about to begin." She snapped her fingers. The people behind me immediately took me up. After standing in a certain place, I realized that the dress I was wearing was the same style as hers. To be precise, mine was a counterfeit, a high-quality imitation. Wearing counterfeit goods is considered a shameless act of pretending to be something one is not, like puffing oneself up to look bigger than one is. In the eyes of the young ladies from various families in the circle. Sure enough, as soon as I went up, I heard everyone below whispering and discussing. The words they said were as unpleasant as they could be. As if they were trampling on my dignity. Even so, Serena still wouldn't let me off. She gracefully walked up to me. Looking down at me, she ordered, "Take off that dress. I don't want anyone to wear the same clothes as me. You, a lowly person, are not worthy of wearing the same clothes as me. It will lower my status." I bit my lower lip. And my teeth chattered in my mouth. All because of my anger. I enunciated each word clearly. "This dress was forced on me by your people. You deliberately prepared a counterfeit one." Unexpectedly, Serena leaned close to my ear and sneered. "Even if I did it on purpose. So what? Does anyone dare to say anything against it?" After saying that, Serena straightened up and looked at Cyrus. Then took his arm. She said coquettishly, "Cyrus, your little maid won't listen to me. Where does she think she's putting me? The future mistress of the Cyrus family? Honey, say something." Cyrus reached out and rubbed the head of the person in front of him, coaxing patiently. "Don't be angry. I'll teach her a lesson for you." He turned his head to look at me, in a manner that was completely unfamiliar to me, and said in a carefree tone, "It's just a dress. Just take it off. It's not like you haven't taken it off before. What are you being so picky about? Take it off quickly. Don't make my fiancé angry. Or you won't be able to stay here. You and your father both depend on my family for a living. You don't want him to be fired and for you two to be kicked out of the Cyrus family and become homeless. Do you?" A bitter smile tugged at the corner of my mouth. I walked towards the two of them and suddenly slapped Cyrus across the face. The sound of the slap echoed in the empty banquet hall, causing a stir. I gritted my teeth and said, "Cyrus, the thing I regret the most is falling in love with you. If I could turn back time, I'd rather never have met you." Before they could react, I tore off the hem of the skirt that was hindering my movement and adjusted the dress into a style that was easier to walk in. Then, let out a low sigh. I ran away without looking back. Serena reacted in time and stood on the stage shouting, "Catch her. Don't let her get away. I'll give 100. Zero yuan to the person who can take off her dress." As soon as she finished speaking, servants and bodyguards immediately surrounded me to catch me. Driven by a strong will to survive, I was like an enraged lion, full of fighting spirit. Those who came to catch me were either blocked by the tables I pushed over or hit in the face with the small cakes I picked up from the table. After leaving the gate of the Cyrus family villa, I didn't know where to run. But I only knew that I had to get away from there. I didn't want to be caught and humiliated. I heard Serena instruct those people to take pictures of me after they caught me. So, I ran like crazy along the road down the hill from the villa on the mountaintop. My tears were blown away by the wind before they could even fall. In the end, I fainted on the road due to exhaustion. Before I lost consciousness, I saw a black car stop in front of me. When I woke up again, I found myself lying on a strange bed. But when I smelled the familiar musty smell again and saw the low ceiling, I realized that I had returned to the utility room of the Cyrus family. At the same time, I noticed a familiar figure sitting by my bedside. When Cyrus saw that I had woken up, he stood up straight away and said, "Remember to finish my thesis before going to bed. Here's 2 million yuan. Consider it as compensation for the harm Serena did to you tonight. Don't think about doing anything to hurt her. The Serena family is not something you, a poor girl, can afford to provoke. Let's pretend that the 3 years we had together never happened. You don't have to return the gifts I gave you. You can keep them or sell them. Anyway, having fulfilled my desire. No matter who asks in the future, don't let them know that we were in a relationship. Whether in public or in private. You should call me young master. Our relationship will return to the previous master-servant relationship. Remember not to overstep the boundaries." I agreed on the surface. I took the check from him and didn't refuse it. Soon, had out a low sigh. He got up and left. I didn't ask if it was him who saved me. And he didn't explain the farce of tonight to me. Because I knew that no matter what he said, I wouldn't forgive him anymore. As soon as he left, I sent a message to my senior. Senior, I'm willing to go abroad for an exchange program. I'll leave tomorrow. My senior replied to me quickly. You've finally seen the light. Although it's very difficult to graduate from a university in Germany, if you can get a degree from Germany, it will make the path you want to take in the future much smoother. After Cyrus left, I sat on the bed in a daze for a long time. I tried to go over everything and find evidence that he didn't love me and only saw me as a substitute, but I wasn't sure if he had pretended to well or if I still hadn't completely let go of this relationship. It seemed that I couldn't find any actions of his, other than what he did today, that could completely break my heart. My thoughts were interrupted by my father, who knocked on the door. He came in and sat by my bedside, looking at my injuries. His eyes turned red. My dear, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have brought you here. If I hadn't brought you here, you wouldn't have met him. If I had driven faster today and come back earlier, they wouldn't have been able to bully you. After picking up Serena in the morning, my father was called away by President Cyrus to pick him up in a neighboring city. President Cyrus came back for Cyrus's engagement banquet. Otherwise, he wouldn't have wanted to set foot in this place. My father discovered my relationship with Cyrus some time ago. At first, he didn't agree, thinking that Cyrus and I were from two different social classes and that there couldn't be a good outcome for us. But at that time, I was indulged in the lies woven by Cyrus. Even though I knew that we couldn't get married in the end, I still couldn't bear to break up. After all, he was so good to me back then. He stayed by my bedside in the hospital when I had an appendectomy, accompanied me to bury my favorite kitten after it passed away, and picked me up from work every day without fail during my winter vacation internship. I shook my head at my father. You're not at fault. And neither am I. Now, right and wrong don't matter anymore. I told him about my plan to go to Germany for an exchange program, and he readily agreed that I should change my living environment. He would go and plead with President Cyrus to let me leave smoothly. After Cyrus left Luna's room and returned to his own, he punched the wall, letting the blood drip onto the floor. This was what he deserved because he had hurt the person he loved the most. His mother's warning still echoed in his ears. Your father has a new illegitimate son. The boy is already 15 years old. And I just found out. You're no longer the only heir of the Cyrus family. You need to have a sense of crisis. You must marry Serena and secure the support of the Serena family. Your father has contacted a lawyer to transfer shares of the company to that illegitimate son. The boy is excellent in both character and learning and has already skipped grades to go to university. If you don't strive to seize the opportunity of marrying Serena, you won't be able to keep your status as the heir in the future. He couldn't accept the possibility of being deprived of his heir status. If he was the heir, even if he just low-fed around and lived off his family for the rest of his life, he would never run out of money. If he wasn't, his quality of life would plummet. Born with a silver spoon in his mouth, he couldn't endure hardship. He also didn't want his girlfriend to suffer with him. Therefore, he could only temporarily harden his heart and cut off his relationship with Luna. If there was a chance in the future, he would coax her back. She loved him so much that she would surely understand his difficulties. Today, he saw all of Serena's deliberate harassment of Luna, but he didn't dare to help, because if he did, with Serena's current mental state, she would treat Luna even more harshly. He didn't want to marry Serena, that venomous woman, at all. Serena had a wild life after going abroad and even had an abortion for her boyfriend overseas. Luna probably hated him to the core. He watched coldly as she was bullied. And there was no love in her eyes when she looked at him. Only naked disappointment. Just now, he had humiliated her by leaving that 2 million yuan check. But he also wanted to help her completely cut off her feelings for him. He hoped that she could understand his difficulties and leave quickly with the money. Otherwise, if she stayed here, there was no guarantee that Serena wouldn't target her again. But why did his heart take so much every time he thought of the disappointed look in her eyes when she looked at him? It seemed that he could never coax her back again. Munich, Germany. After I arrived here, It took me 3 days to get used to the study rhythm here. Studying law is indeed very busy, and the academic workload is heavy. There are endless presentations to do every day. I was so busy that when I received the engagement photo of Serena and Cyrus that she sent me a month later, looking at the affectionate couple in the photo, I didn't even have the slightest emotional fluctuation. It was even Cyrus's birthday that day. We had already broken up, and I couldn't send him a birthday blessing. Although I had promised him that on his birthday this year, I would get him a sweater that I knitted with my own hands. He had sent me a message a few days ago, just 2 minutes before the deadline for submitting the final thesis. He finally thought of me and sent a message asking, "Where's my thesis?" I replied, "Deleted," after sending the message. I blocked him. The final thesis for that course was supervised by the strictest professor in the finance department. There was no makeup exam opportunity, and those who failed would have to retake the course. In the past, I did all his course assignments. And before the exams, I also predicted the questions and asked him to memorize the key points. Now, without me, his academic future was probably doomed. All of this had nothing to do with me anymore. I now have a wonderful life abroad and won't be nostalgic for the past. I replied to Serena with, "I wish you to a long and happy marriage and an early birth of a precious child," and then blocked that number. That scumbag and that bitch are better off together and should stop hurting others. When I put down my phone, I heard my senior calling me. "Luna, come quickly. The grades for the group assignment are out." I didn't know if the assignment that I had stayed up for 2 days to do could pass. I rushed over to check the grades, leaving everything in my home country behind. After all, I don't want to. Because I didn't work hard now. Start reminiscing many years later. The 3 years I studied in Germany would be the most unforgettable 7 years in my 5-year life. When I look back on these 8 years, I would think that these 10 years were extremely fulfilling. Cyrus came to find me in Germany, which was beyond my expectations. But before he came, I heard that he had broken up with Serena because President Cyrus had brought his illegitimate child back to the ancestral mansion. Cyrus was no longer the only heir to the company. After I left, not only did he have to retake the courses, but his performance in class was full of loopholes. He couldn't even answer the knowledge he had learned in his freshman year, which made the teacher suspect that he had hired a proxy to take the exams before. The school conducted a thorough investigation and handling of his grades. In the end, President Cyrus couldn't afford to lose face and stepped in to suppress the matter. All these things were told to me by my dad. Now he is driving for President Cyrus. Serena thought that Cyrus was no longer of any use, so she dumped him immediately, which made Cyrus's mother so angry that she slapped her on the spot. The two of them started fighting. Cyrus's mother was hit on the head by Serena and is now in a state of dementia, not even recognizing Cyrus. Because of her family's influence, Serena used money to suppress the matter, and she didn't receive any punishment. Looking at Cyrus, who was much thinner than last year, my emotions were indifferent. The rotten flesh that grew because of his hurt had been dug out by my own hands, and now fresher and tougher flesh and blood had grown on it. I said calmly, "Do you have something to talk to me about? If there's nothing important to say, please step aside. I'm very busy and don't have time to chat with you here. After all, I don't think we have anything to reminisce about, young master." This was the last time I called him young master. There was sadness in Cyrus's eyes. "Baby, Ibi, why have you become so cold to me? I had my reasons for treating you that way. Please listen to my explanation. The traditional Chinese medicine that night wasn't the medicine to prevent pregnancy. It was just an ordinary medicine for treating colds and fevers. How could I bear to hurt your body? You still love me the most, right? Now I've come to find you. The engagement between me and Serena backed and was just a temporary measure. I don't love her at all. I love you. Otherwise, why would I give you 2 million yuan? I didn't act pretentious and throw back the 2 million yuan that Cyrus gave me at that time because I needed money for my study abroad. Moreover, he also said at that time that the 2 million yuan was used to buy out our 3-year relationship. I shook off his hand that was reaching for my arm. "Don't touch me. Be careful, or I'll sue you for sexual harassment." Cyrus, Who are you pretending to be affectionate for now? Even if you don't feel disgusted. I do. Go back. Don't come to find me again in the future. Don't disturb my life. There were still scars on my legs, which were left when Serena deliberately broke the vase and hurt me. All the past experiences reminded me that these people were not worthy of my forgiveness. Regardless of what Cyrus thought, I walked around him and moved forward. I hadn't walked a few steps when it suddenly started to rain in the sky. And the senior who came to pick me up ran out of the library in time to pick me up. I walked in side by side with him, leaving Cyrus behind to repent alone. After I returned to China with my studies completed, one of the cases I took on was a legal aid case. The other party was a female college student from a poor family. She wanted to sue the eldest daughter of the Serena family for intentional injury. She showed me the injury inspection report, which had densely packed photos of the injuries. After learning about it, I realized that over the years, Serena hadn't restrained her behavior. Instead, relying on her family background, she had been bullying the weak. A few years ago, she married a man who was 10 years older than her. This college student was a part-time piano teacher for the children in her home. Serena used the excuse that she was seducing her husband to disable the girl's hands that she had been learning to play the piano with for more than 10 years. I accepted her case. When Serena bullied me back then, because I was studying law, I had the habit of carrying a recording pen with me. Her every word and action were recorded. Even for what she did at the banquet hall back then. My dad had also asked President Cyrus to obtain the surveillance video later. I had kept the evidence for so many years because I knew that if the enemy couldn't be defeated in one strike, they would have a chance to make a comeback. Now it was time for my justice to come. When I was handling the female student's case, more and more victims who were hurt because of Serena emerged. The matter was discovered by the sensitive paparazzi and exposed on the internet, causing public outrage. This time, even the Serena family couldn't protect her. After going through various processes such as prosecution, evidence collection, and judgment, I finally sent Serena to prison with my own hands. Justice prevails. And the light has arrived. One day, when I went out to handle some business from the court, Cyrus blocked my way. Now he was wearing a simple, washed-out short-sleeved shirt and jeans. He was no longer dressed in luxury brands and was no longer the high-spirited young master. Although he was only in his 20s, he looked no different from a 40-year-old. It seemed that after being kicked out of the Cyrus family, his life had been getting worse day by day. He stubbornly asked me, "Luna, did you ever love me?" I did. I looked calmly at Cyrus, who had become much more haggard. Looking at the starlight in his eyes and the hope welling up in his heart, I added, "But so what?" I had loved him without reservation. But in the end, what I got was his trampling on my sincerity. And my full love turned into desolation. I couldn't forgive him. Because if I forgave his behavior of trampling on my personality, it would be a disrespect and lack of self-love for myself. I gave Cyrus a faint smile. "Don't come to find me again. I don't want my boyfriend to be jealous. Or do you want me to arrest you on the charge of obstructing public officials?" After turning around without hesitation, I heard the man crying loudly behind me. But so what? I wouldn't look back. And I definitely wouldn't be soft-hearted. The weak me in the past had been killed by myself. Now I have enough ability to embrace the good. My ability is worthy of my ambition. I will firmly run towards my bright future. The end.